All right, welcome back, folks. Today we are talking about prospect J.C. Latham from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And you can follow me, as always, at J.K. Bogan on all social media. Now let's dive into it. So this prospect, I went in thinking, you know what, he's going to be pretty good. Probably give a second-round grade just based on initial thoughts. And I ended up coming away really impressed with Latham. First off, PFF graded him as the 17th pass blocker, 13th run blocker, and 10th overall. He gave up 20 pressures he allowed 20 pressures in 854 pass protection snaps in his career, 9 pressures only in 2023. He was third in pass blocking efficiency. He is 21 and he is 6'6", 360 pounds. So what are you getting with J.C. Latham? Is he going to be a fit for the Rams? I'll get to that. But you get a 2-year starter at Alabama, which means that he's battle tested. I mean, he's playing in the SEC, but he's playing at Alabama, so he's playing big time games. That's a big deal. So that's a good thing. He just turned 21 in February, so that's another really good thing. Only gave up 1 sack and 854 pass protection reps. To me, that is really impressive, especially when you consider who he's going up against. Some of the, really talented pass rushers in the SEC. And I mean, in practice, he's going up against talented pass rushers as well on his own team. He's got great prototypical size, like I mentioned, 6'6", 360 pounds, which is really good for an offensive tackle, in case you didn't know. He's got great, really long, great arm length for the position, elite level play strength. When you watch this guy, it's clear he is one of the strongest men on the field, and he makes his presence known every single snap. He can dominate and absolutely overpower in the run game, which is something, a sight to see, really. He's light on his feet, which I think is fascinating because he's 6'6", 360 pounds. But you have to understand something. When we're talking about these guys, we're talking about 6'6", 360 pound offensive tackle. The thing that makes somebody, because I'm sure somebody out there is 6'6" and 360 pounds. It's not unheard of. The reason why we're talking about Latham in such a high regard is that he is light on his feet. He can do the little things that others can't. That's why we're talking about him with NFL aspirations and somebody with the same size that plays more heavy and isn't light on his feet, doesn't have just the traits that this guy possesses. We're talking about a guy maybe priority free agent. That's what matters. That's what stands out. His pass sets are really smooth. I mean, when you watch this guy, he's just a really fluid mover in general with all that weight on him. He does a great job of sustaining his balance after first contact, and that's something that is not aplenty in this draft. There are some balance issue guys. I won't say balance issues, but sometimes they'll lose their balance. He does a really nice job of maintaining his balance, absorbing the rush, whether it's a bull rush or whatever. He does a really nice job of just, staying tall, staying, in his spot. He's very stout, anchors well. That is something that I really like about Latham. He's got active hands, really good placement with those hands to boot. His grip strength is outstanding. When he gets a hold of you, you're not really going anywhere. All right. That's the thing. If he gets you square in the chest, you're not going anywhere. So that's something to keep in mind. When you're looking at him, really hard to beat him. Okay. Really hard to get by him in pass pro. He is a mountain of a man. And that is important at the next level when you talk about guys that are going to be at least one step or not even maybe 2 steps or 3 steps better than who you're going up against in college. Now, we talk about all the time SEC guys and, Power 5 schools. They have a lot of NFL ready players, but NFL ready is just a term that we use for guys that have a higher floor, that are more likely to project to the next level in a positive way and are more likely to play day one than the next guy. It does not mean in any sense that a guy is automatically going to go into the NFL. He is going to immediately make an impact. It doesn't mean that he won't have any sort of drawback. And so that's the thing. While we have a lot of NFL-ready players in Power 5 conferences, and especially in the SEC, it doesn't mean he's necessarily going up against NFL players. That's important to realize that. So it's good that he dominates them. I think he sets the tone for an offensive line, just has this nastiness to him that I really like. He's dominant, true finisher. Again, I keep using the word dominant, but that's what he is. And he finishes, I mean, he really wants to bury you 6 feet under if you're in his way. Very athletic, can get out into space and get to the second level. Combo blocker, he has the athleticism to reach block. All sorts of those, different types of things they ask him to do. And, he's very consistent. He just doesn't lose very often. So what are his weaknesses, right? That's why you're watching. Most of these guys have a lot of strengths. They wouldn't be top prospects if they didn't. But the weaknesses here, he was penalized 17 times in the last 2 years alone. Albeit he did cut down from 11 in 2022 to 6 in 2023. He played only right tackle in college. Can he make the transition to left tackle if need be? Is this a weakness? I won't say it's a weakness. He doesn't have positional versatility. Versatility is a trait that not everyone has. And versatility is great. It's more of a pro. It's more of an addition. Like, oh, he comes with versatility. That's good. That's a perk, right? It doesn't necessarily mean if you're not versatile that you're bad. There's plenty of really good offensive tackles that can only play one spot. They can't move in at guard. They can't play center, but they're, the best in the league at what they do. Who cares? So the question is, can he move to left? We don't know. He only played right tackle in college. So that's something to keep in mind. Right? That's something to mention. He struggles against more methodical pass rushers, will get tripped up with hesitation moves and stutters. This is somebody, at least in my estimation, who is going to get better at this. Just based on what I've seen, it doesn't always affect him, but more methodical pass rushers that, are more, like I said, more methodical. They have more of an approach. They're not just, bull rush. They're not just speed rush. These are guys that can do the hesitation moves and like the stutter moves, like I mentioned. Guys that try to throw more than just a fastball down the middle. They're trying to throw curveballs. They're trying to throw slurves. They're trying to throw 12-6. They're going with a knuckleball. That's essentially, those are the type of guys that could give him some problems. And at the next level, you get a lot of those guys. Not just everybody's trying to win with power and speed. So that's something to keep in mind. But again, he struggles against more methodical rushers. Doesn't mean he always loses against. As soon as there's a methodical rusher, doesn't mean he's going to lose. Just means that's his biggest weakness as far as an archetype. Due to his over-aggressive approach in the run game, which we do love, although not over-aggressive, that means we don't love that. But we do love the aggressiveness. However, he can lose his leverage and fail to sustain his block. And, it's awesome and it's fun to watch a guy just absolutely destroy someone else and move a guy from point A to point B against his will. But at the same time, you want to be in a controlled environment. And he gets himself a little bit too overzealous at times. But he's not the only one in this draft. A lot of them have that. And that's the great thing about NFL coaching. They'll get that where he gets consistent in that regard. He's very stout overall, but does allow pressure to ruin a pocket. Now, he doesn't give up sacks. He gave up 1 sack in 854 reps. However, just because he's not giving up a sack, and he might not even be given a pressure for it, just because it's not considered pressure for him doesn't mean at times he doesn't get pushed back enough to collapse a pocket. That is important. That does matter at the next level. My final thoughts on him before we get into the grades. He is a much better prospect than I expected coming in. He's stout across the board. I think the weaknesses were me more just being picky, which I'm going to be picky because if you don't have a lot of weaknesses, then I have to try and find them. He doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. His biggest issue for me are penalties. And some teams might ask him to move to left tackle. Can he do it? Question mark. I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, the penalties always will concern me. If anybody has 17 penalties in the last 2 years, even though you go from 11 to 6, it's still a lot of penalties. I mean, you have a guy like Joe Alt, he's getting one or two, for his entire career. I think he has 5, 3-year starter. So look, run blocking is not a premium in this draft, especially at the tackle position. And he's one of the best in that. So that's something to feel good about. First round talent for sure. He might go earlier than I have him. I have him as like a mid first, late first, mid to late first. I like that. So you think about mid, right? You think, 32 teams drafting in the first round. If I say mid to late, you're talking about picks 15 through 32 or 16 through 32. I think that's fair. You want to call him, potentially a borderline top 15 talent. I have no issue with that. With that said, he is going to be drafted on night 1. The grades that I have are as followed. I gave him an 8.6 in agility. I gave him a 9 in pass protection. This is all out of 10, of course. 9.1 in run blocking. 8.7 in spatial movement. 8.8 pull/trap. 9.5 in play strength. 9 in technique. 9.6 in size. 9.1 in awareness. And 8.7 in balance. I don't think he has balance issues. But I couldn't put him in the 9s, knowing that, he does have those tendencies to struggle a little bit and be a little bit over aggressive and kind of lose his balance in that regard. He's not going to lose it much, but it's enough to keep him out of the 9s. Altogether, that puts Mr. J.C. Latham at 90.1 out of 100, which makes him a first rounder according to my grading scale. So now the moment of the truth. Does he make any sense for the Rams? As a matter of fact, he does. I think he can move to left tackle. If he absolutely had to, I believe he could move to left tackle. Okay? I think this is somebody who you could draft and maybe play inside at guard. Maybe, right? Because, think about, why do guys typically move inside to guard? From the outside inside. They don't have the foot speed, The pass sets are really fluid with Latham, so you don't have that issue. And they have shorter arms. But in actuality, J.C. Latham could probably play guard pretty well. He'd be big. He'd be really big and tall. 6'6" guard, that's kind of big. But he could if you had to have him. Havenstein 6'7" over there at right tackle. And then left tackle, there's not anybody currently on the roster. Currently, yes, Alec Jackson, free agency hasn't started yet. He will be a restricted free agent. Does he come back? Do they move Alec Jackson to guard, move Avila to center, and then move Latham or, draft Latham to be their left tackle? The bottom line is this. If he's the best on your board for you as a Ram, whoever is making the decisions there, you take him. I can't stress enough, I think the Rams should be in the market for an offensive tackle. Havenstein is getting older. While he is Mr. Reliable, he's Mr. Consistent, he's rock solid at right tackle, he's not going to be around forever. So you do have to be cognizant of that, but you also have to be fully aware of left tackle. Because even if Alec Jackson comes back, Jackson's good. He's the second best tackle, in my opinion, that's available on the market. I think he's better than Trent Brown. I think he's better than the majority of them, except for Tyron Smith. But when you talk about Latham, I think Latham could start day 1, and I think he would be better than Alec Jackson. I think he just offers too many things. I think you get him in the Rams room, you get him with those coaches, he could absolutely play left tackle. I think all of these right tackles would be open to moving to left. And I understand it's not the same thing, but I think they could if they had to. And when you have the tools he has, and he's only 21 years old, okay, you can move a guy there, and now he can learn that the rest of his time. Tristan Wirfs played right tackle in college, played right tackle in the NFL, eventually moved over to left. Now he's their left tackle. I mean, it's not ideal to move a right tackle to left when he's never played left, but I wouldn't rule it out. There's also a lot of time in between, the draft, mini camp, and all that before September to learn the position and get comfortable. You have preseason as well. So, yeah, I think if Latham is there at 19 and the Rams have him high on their board and he's among, the top, I think he could give you left tackle day one vibes. Now, again, it goes back to my day one starter thing. This is the most likely route. I think he's got a ridiculously high floor, and I think he's got a really good ceiling to boot. At the same time, though, it's not a guarantee. Would you be willing, with Matthew Stafford at age 36, to have a rookie blocking for him at left tackle? I mean, he had a left guard rookie last year. Who knows? So I think in actuality, he will not be there at pick 19. And if the Rams do want him, I think it would come after Talis Fuaga of Oregon State came off the board, Joe Alt of Notre Dame came off the board, and Olu Fashanu from Penn State came off the board. At that point, J.C. Latham is the best player available, definitely on my board. I gave him a first-round grade. He's the last first-round grade I gave at that point. So if Latham is there, say pick 15, pick 16, the Rams could consider a quick trade up. I mean, you wouldn't have to give up too much. So that would be that. But yeah, let me know in the comments section below what you guys think. Should the Rams draft J.C. Latham? Should they try and trade up if they have to? Do you need this guy in horns? How do you feel? Because personally for me, I think the Rams are in a really good spot. If they want to tackle, I think a lot of these guys do come off the board, but even the guys that don't, before 19, like I'd be surprised if Amarius Mims was drafted before 19 because of the injury, the tightrope injury. I'd be surprised if Jordan Morgan went off the board there, and Fatanu, who I have a second round grade on, and Dominic Pooney, and a bunch of the other guys that I was, mentioning, Patrick Paul and so forth. There's enough there where you could grab somebody in the second round, but if you think that he makes that much of a difference, yeah, I'm kind of all for it. I'm really curious to see how this Rams organization evaluates this draft, because we're going to find out how committed they are to Alaric Jackson very soon, and we're going to find out how committed, like how long they are committed to Alaric Jackson very soon. So personally, I think Latham makes a lot of sense. I think he'd fit the Rams well. I don't worry about the scheme. I think he's scheme versatile in that regard, and I think he could move over to left tackle. I know this is the one right tackle in this draft where everyone's saying he is a right tackle strictly. I don't necessarily buy it. We've seen other guys move to left tackle who weren't nearly as talented, didn't have as nearly the prototypical size that this guy has, the arm length, all of that. I think he can make the move, but we'll see what ends up happening. Anyway, I'm Jake Ellenbogen. If you enjoyed this, please hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to follow me on social media at JK Bogan. Be sure to like the video and drop a comment. I'm curious what you guys think. I would look at every comment. I might not be able to answer to every comment, but I do see every comment come across my screen. So again, appreciate you guys, and you guys take care. We'll see you guys in the next video. Later, folks. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.